Okay, we have a process that I've made reference to numerous times today. It is called hemostasis. What is hemostasis? Stopping bleeding. So hemostasis is going to consist of 3 steps. Now, so we're talking about when you get cut, right? So when you get cut, you have an injury to your blood vessels. That's why you're bleeding. And so the very first process in hemostasis is what we call blood vessel spasm. And I've said before, you have this large diameter blood vessel. When it's after it's damaged, it spasms and it becomes a smaller diameter. What does this do? It slows the loss of blood. In the meantime, it's made the diameter smaller, so those red blood cells and those platelets that are sticky are kind of pushed together, and so the platelets start sticking to the red blood cells and to other platelets and to the walls of the blood vessel, and we end up getting what we called the platelet plug formation. And remember, we said what happens, those platelets, they get squashed and they degranulate. And we had said, what kind of substances are in the granules? Serotonin causes a continuation of the blood vessel spasm, and platelet-derived growth factors starts the repair mechanism. In addition, we have one other process. Remember, I said we had those fibrin fibers, and I'd said, look at that first picture in the package. Those yellow fibers in there are fibrin, and they come from one of those proteins we were just talking about, which is called fibrinogen. And so fibrinogen is a dissolved protein that becomes a fiber in a process called coagulation. Coagulation is the 3rd step in hemostasis. And this is the process of producing the fibrin fibers from this dissolved material called fibrinogen. Now, what happens is we have 2 different mechanisms, but in both cases, what they're going to do, an extrinsic and an intrinsic process, meaning one from outside of the blood vessel or one from inside. But in both cases, same thing's going to happen. We have another protein that's in circulation. And that protein that's in circulation, I'm going to have to move over so that you can see it well. It's this thing right over here. It's called prothrombin. Pro means before, and oftentimes it means it's an inactive chemical. It's a chemical that would do something once it's been modified just a little bit. And so in the process of coagulation, what's going to happen is it's going to cut a little piece off of that prothrombin, and it's going to make it into something called thrombin. Now, what does thrombin do? It's an active enzyme. And what it does, it goes and finds that fibrinogen, that dissolved plasma protein, and it converts it into those fibers. And so this is the 3rd step in forming that blood clot, which stops the bleeding. We had the blood vessel spasm, then we had the platelets forming a plug there, and then we had the processes of coagulation, which are going to further produce the blood clot. How am I doing for time? Okay, so once you get a blood clot, I'm going to go on and talk about blood clot dissolution. Well, basically, what we have is we have another of these inactive chemicals. You know what? I'm going to stop right here and I'll pick up blood clot dissolution. It's too complicated. So we'll stop right here.